Hi guys, so I'm gonna be making another video today on another deck profile. So today we're gonna be doing with Fajin. Apologize for the glare. So this Fajin deck is a control-based deck, and so what I'd like to do first is just briefly go over. So of course, ruler being Fajin, and then our three legends, so Ayano, Eiji, and Aya. However, it's also possible that Ramu from Gamma can be a side option as well. So that's my recommendation. I'm going to try and put the card text, or at least the card images, on the screen this time, so this way I don't have to explain what each card does. But let's get into it. So for the first part of the deck, we'll call it the mill plan. So keepers are focused on milling themselves, and we're running 3 keeper recruiting, 2 demon ambush, and this could potentially even be more, 2 Andrea keeper of silence for all the mill, keeper battalion for just a huge beater, Ichdel, who just keeps coming back from the graveyard and has swiftness, so as things die, as you mill things out, you get free swiftness each turn. And then, of course, once the graveyard gets full, another Empress can bring back bigger stuff as well. So, chunky on board. Now, obviously, the stat line here is not huge, but that'll come into play in a second. So, this is the mill plan. Oh, let me get it all in frame. We'll put her down here. And so with that mill plan, you can play a little bit degenerate. However, if that gets turned off via the opponent playing catcher or something along those lines, you still have plays to make. And I want to go now into the second part of the deck, which is the control aspect. I kind of joke and call it the playing fair part of the deck. So Vengeful Spirit, of course, is insanely powerful in the right plays. Sayumi is new card in Gamma. So I'll read this one since she is new. So Precision, 6/6 for 2. Shatter puts it into your hand, so even if you mill her, you'll still get it into your hand. And then if a Resonator would come into play with a total cost greater than the number of resources its owner controls, remove it from the game instead. So if you can get her out early, it prevents Fallen from cheating out stuff. It prevents actually anyone from really getting too far ahead, kind of cheating the curve. So it can be a really powerful play, especially if you're on the draw and you use your Energize coin to do it first turn. The second part is whenever an opponent plays a spell and no resource was spent to cast it, counter that spell. So all the decks that run 0 cost, either draw spells or search spells, etc., that shuts them all off for free, as long as she stays alive. Vayne, again, the ultimate play fair card, so only one thing can enter play each turn, and it has to come from their hand, or the standby. Then next up, 2 Atem, and we're actually not playing it for the 10/10 Divine Blade, but it obviously can be, but more so for the inheritance to get 2 Keeper Resonators back, and it being a keeper card that's doing that will be relevant in a second. But by being able to buy back a 2-for-1 from our graveyard, so if things die, keeps them around. And last is Descendant of the Banished Keeper, so gains us life, kills Resonators, and with a new card in Gamma, this also got a lot better. I didn't feel like running more than one because I felt like with Atem we could get it back if we needed it. So this is the play fair aspect. And then last step, well, we have 2 more parts. So next up we'll call it the the addition section. So we're running actually an Obscurus card that lets us banish a card in the standby to search for an addition and put it into play. And so there's no limit on the addition needing to be Obscurus, and so with that we can actually run our keeper kind of set to force people into playing our game. So pernicious tactics, of course, pay X and destroy everything that is non-legend, non-resource with that total cost or less. So you can keep paying 1 and this stays in play and keep destroying all the 1-drops, or you can pump a bunch of will into it or resources into it and then destroy everything, but it will, if you pay 2 or more, destroy itself. So we run 2 just as a board wipe if we need it. Fajin's Secret of Knowledge. This is the, if a player draws more than once per turn, they end up discarding, and if they have no cards in hand, then they start milling their own deck. So this can be very strong against some of the blue decks where they want to draw, and this forces them to empty out their hand, and then they have nothing left to threaten us with. Now, this is the big card, and in Gamma, this card's gotten even better. So, Library of the Keepers. Cards in graveyards cannot be the target by non-keeper spells and effects, and cards in either player's graveyard cannot be removed from the game without non-keeper spells and effects. And then all keepers get +2/+2. So this card is huge. This is basically why we are able to run a bunch of 6/6s, because with Library of the Keepers, our graveyard is still functionable and usable, but our opponents will not be able to use theirs, and we get a pretty solid bonus. That +2, and these are not legendary, so they do stack. So we can get our 6/6s coming in as 10/10s. Finally, the last edition that we're running a 3 of, and part of the reason why I wanted to make this deck. So Shrine of the Guardians is banish this card, counter target resonator activated or automatic effect, if the source of that effect is in play, destroy it. And activate it only if you control a keeper resonator. So we need a keeper in play, but that shouldn't be a problem. And if you have that, basically you're pretty damn safe from everything, including, well, don't forget we're also running Fajin, so no one's going to be playing too many counter spells against us, but even enter effects can be countered with Shrine of Guardians. And it has a secondary effect here. Choosing number between 1 and 6, target resonator you control, total cost becomes equal to the chosen number. And the idea with that is that actually combos with, oh, where is he now? That combos with Descendant, his banishing a keeper to destroy a non-resource entity with the same total cost. And so Shrine lets us change our total cost to whatever they need to be so that we can destroy anything in play with the same banish. So this is our addition package again, or essentially we pay 1, we set some card. Hopefully it's something like we set a Ixtel or something, and then we can banish it with Mystic Pathfinder, puts it in the graveyard for us, and then we search out one of our additions. I generally recommend, depending on the deck, you either go for Library or Fajin's Secrets if it's early on, just to start controlling the game a little bit. You could also run some other additions if you wanted to be a little bit more controlling, but for right now, I'm happy with this main deck. There's some sideboard options you can definitely use, but that's a good start. I apologize for this glare. It's driving me crazy. And then the last part, the last 3 cards here, we'll call it, so just the extra stuff. We are a graveyard deck, so, and we have creatures, so Himawari is always going to be good. I'm running 2 right now, so of course she gives something indestructible. Because our resonators aren't that big early on, and because there is a good chance that we'll be hitting, we're running Himawari just to get some additional blockers. And do take note that she is not keeper, so, but she does pull herself out of the graveyard, so that part's okay. She's not being targeted by anything, so she can still come in. And then Maiden, on the other hand, be mindful. So if you have the Library again, this won't be as useful, but if they're getting destroyed, whatever else happens, you mill them and you have nothing in play, this is kind of a backup that can pitch to either counter a hand trap, or if you hit its shatter effect, you can shuffle in things that you didn't want to get thrown into the graveyard. So Maiden's always solid. I pretty much run one in every Tenshoku deck I make. Just, it's that good. So that's that, guys. So yeah, this is my Fajin Play Fair deck. Tell me what you guys think, and hopefully this video is a little bit nicer looking than the other one. So thank you very much. See you next time, guys.